So I'm going to tell you the world history of women pilots, their combats and successes through the centuries. And what if we have some hope now, as you said, with the rate of women pilots everywhere. So in 17, sorry, we just women and ballooning. In 1784, Elizabeth Tibbles was the first to fly freely in Lyon. If I show you with the arrow, you see my arrow or not? No, you don't see it.
Yes, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay. In 1798, the Directory forbade the flight in the same basket of two people of different sexes. The depression of the air likely to affect the delicate organs of women in fear. Ernestine Henry, she's here, asked the Academy of Science to comment on the robustness of the so-called fragile sex so that she can start her air shows again. The Minister of the Interior ends up saying that we cannot prevent a woman of full age from doing what men are allowed to do and from giving on an assent, proof of confidence in processes at the same time, that fearlessness. In 1805, Napoleon appointed Sophie Blanchard the official aerostier of the empire. She did the shows for the government, and you see she had an accident at the end because she threw fireworks from the balloon. In 1906, Mrs. Surcouf made the first female-only flight with Mademoiselle Gache, a 2 hours 45 minutes flight. They founded the club, first women's club, La Stella, affiliated with the Aéro Club de France in February 1909, where men were only admitted as donnies or passengers. The association organized Stella teas, conferences, artistic evenings, initiation flights for women and young people. The empire of the skies belongs to all, and who would dare deny that women have no right to conquer the stars? What a man manages to acquire through his muscular strength, through his physical endurance, women also conquer through her will, her tenacity, and her courage, said Marie Surcouf in 1909. Ah, qu'est-ce que je fais? Sorry. Ah ouais. We change. So the first flights of women in airplanes. Thérèse Pelletier was a sculptor. She was the first woman to be released alone on an airplane in 1909. 8 March 1910, the Aéro Club de France awarded Élise de Roche, 24-year-old actress, the pilot aviator patent number 36, first woman world's brevet. She declares, "Flying is the best possible thing for women." The Belgian Hélène Dutrieux is the first woman to take a passenger by plane in April 1909. In the United States, Harriet Quimby, first pilot license on August 1911, joined the Mexico City Circus and as a journalist made feminist propaganda. She also has a very concrete vision of aviation, which can become a profitable activity for women and even a source of good income by transporting passengers from city to city. She had a good vision. Marie Marvin obtains in June 1912 the approval of the Army on her project of an ambulance airplane. A collective of women calls on the National Aeronautic League to rule on the right of women to choose their path. In 1915, Marie Marvin became the first woman in the world to carry out air combat missions. She was not allowed to, but she was disguised into a man from Metz Aerodrome. Thereafter, she will receive the Croix de Guerre. In Russia, on the left, Nadeja Degdereva entered the Air Force under the identity of a 17-year-old boy, thanks to the complicity of a friendly doctor. In 1917, the Russian army officially opens its doors to women. The first female public transport certificates read and exploits between the two wars. Adrienne Bolland, in the center, manages aged 24 to cross the most difficult part of the Andes from Mendoza to Santiago de Chile on April 1st, 1921. In 1922, she was the first in the world to obtain the public transport certificate. In all irregularities, France is violating Resolution 147 of the International Air Navigation Commission on the conditions of access to this certificate, to be a male. Out of revenge, the International Commission prohibits companies from entrusting their passengers to women. Sophie Elliott-Lynn, sportswoman and pilot, opened the door to the Olympic Games in 1928 and changed the resolutions, excluding women from any job on board commercial aircraft. In 1929, at Santa Monica, USA, women pilots organized a race to protest against the decision of the National Aviation Agency to ban women from all speed tests. They meet at Curtis Field and create the 99s. Amy Johnson, age 27, undertook a raid to Australia via India after only 80 hours of flight with a Tiger Moose of 90 horsepower. She is welcomed as an air queen in Darwin. In Tokyo, she was given an extraordinary welcome by General Nagoka, the grandfather of aviation. Anne Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh's wife, who serves as her husband as radio navigational co-pilot, made a record crossing the United States within 15 hours on April 1930, when she was 7 months pregnant. In 1933, she explored with Charles Lindbergh the future routes of Pan Am. May 1932, Amelia Earhart went solo from Teterboro to London. In 1935, she was the first pilot to reach California without worry from Hawaii. Women pilot break records and fly for suffrage campaign for the vote of women. In 1934, Hélène Boucher broke the world speed record over 1,000 kilometers on a Condron Rafale. Louise Weiss, feminist journalist, made a tour de France with 3 famous aviatrix for a meeting in favor of women's suffrage. Hélène Boucher delivers a speech. We fly Rafale, but we are still minors. Are we more than our male comrades, immune to accidents and all the hazard of the air? Yes, we are feminists because feminism is synonymous with justice and equity for us. Jean Batten, a New Zealander who rode Australia in England, set a world record in 1935 and was honored by the Maori in New Zealand. Helen Ritchie, major of the Carnegie Hall Institute, becomes the first female airline pilot at Central Airlines USA. The National Union of American Airline Pilots declares a strike against recruiting women who could take the bread out of their mouths. The US Department of Commercial Aviation is figuring out a rule under which women could only fly on commercial airline in good weather. Helen Ritchie, tired of fighting, resigns to set speed records again. During the Second World War, in France, a law of July 1938 on the country in time of war provides the recruitment of women into the armed force. A decree of September 1939 authorizes only 4 female volunteers to provide unpaid air escorting or personalities or staff. For one of them, Claire Roman, base commander, wrote this report. Pilot guts, soldier discipline, doing a man's job better than a man. But the Pétain government, which advocates work, family, country for women, suspends the recruitment of female auxiliary air pilots. The Polish women pilots were urgently requisitioned by the Air Force following the brutal German attack. In England, Pauline Grower trained and took command of a female section on Courier within the Air Transport Auxiliary in November 1939 at Hatfield. The League of Defense of the Men protests for the usurpation of jobs, specifically male. The women pilots are paid much less than men. However, sorry, I thought it was stopped. However, the lack of pilots increases the power of this unit, which passes to 166 female pilots on 51 types of war machine, recruiting from everywhere: Canada, New Zealand, South Africa. In the United States, a new unit created by Nancy Love in 1942, the Women Auxiliary Ferry Squadron. Their leader, Colonel Tuner, will say, "The machines do not realize that it is a woman who is piloting." Jacqueline Cochran competes with her by creating the WASP, Women Air Force Service Pilot. In the USSR, women showed terrible strength in combat with the Yaks, the Sukhoi. The Romanian pilot joined them in 1940 with the White Squadron until the victory in 1944. During colonial war, we had a lot of women making flying doctors. Suzanne Janin, a distinguished pilot from Indochina, carried out 290 sanitary flights during the conflict in Vietnam. Valérie André, enlisted as a parachutist doctor in Saigon in 1948, becomes the first French woman to have a helicopter patent. In 1946, following the accident of Marisils during a storm, the state invokes budgetary problem to once again stop the female corps of military pilots. They are then often offered to be typists at the Air Force, which they refuse outright, while Air France is recruiting the others as air hostesses. In 1951, in Morocco, Touria Chaoui became the first and youngest female aviator in the Arab world, patented by the French Air Force. At 18, she became the president of the Royal Aero Club of Casablanca, and she helped young women to train in aviation. Jacqueline Auriol, after a dramatic accident as a passenger on a test flight, became a military public transport pilot, and then in 1952 a jet pilot. She becomes the first female test pilot. Jacqueline Cochran was lucky to be initiated by Chuck Yeager and passed the sound barrier in the United States in May 1953. Difficult conquest of the cockpit of airliners. In 1963, Betty Miller crosses the the Pacific with a single Piper Comanche. John Merriam and Betty Miller is on the top, and Geraldine Mock compete on a world tour. Jerry Cobb became the first feminine subject for the selection of astronauts in 1960, where she passed all the tests. Then she learned that astronauts represented by Alan Shepard and John Glenn refuse missions with women, saying they see no use in space unless they are women superior to men. Aeroflot entrusts its Ilyushin to exclusively female crews. In 1963, USSR sends the first female cosmonaut into space, Valentina Tereshkova. Hastily prepared to get ahead of the Americans, the mission goes badly for her. Valentina Tereshkova then made 43 foreign tours between 1963 and 1970 and became a major political leader. In Australia, Christine Debouzy became the first female captain on DC-3 in 1964. In the French domestic airline, Air Inter Jacqueline Debouzy thus became in 1967 the first French female airline pilot on Caravelle. because it was not forbidden by the law on domestic airline. The New York Times speaks of a new French Revolution. In France, the decree that stipulated that you had to be male to take airline pilot training is repealed in 1973, thanks to the French Association of Women Pilots created in 1971. The National School of Civil Aviation could then be open to women. This will be the last images. The director of NASA said in 1972 that we must wait for ships to become habitable and for sexual morals to evolve. Later, he will declare that it will take women auxiliary of space for the physical and moral good of the men, and will select 12 young and pretty astronauts. American women pilots aspirants demand justice over their equality in education on the military side. The law excludes women from combat missions. Then they win their case to join the US Navy. 1975, President Ford endorsed a bill which opens wide the doors of military academies to women. In 1978, NASA selected 28 men and 6 women. The shuttle having become a laboratory, the selected candidates are from the scientific elite. The Institute seed caught between the anti-machist leagues, which recovered for their benefit the entry of women into the last phallic benchmark, and the moral majority treating them as shame of America. Candidates like Shannon Lucid, mother of 3, doctor and in biochemistry, Sally will maneuver the 15 arm of the station, but she's paid less than her male colleagues. She is bombarded with stupid questions by journalists. Will you clean the capsule, knitting in downtime? Will you wear a bra under the diving suit? Under the cosmonaut suit? She replies, for what? Breasts only fall down here. In 1984, the Russians sent a woman into space in extravehicular activity, Soyuz 7, Svetlana Savitskaya. But there were only 3 female cosmonauts in Russia in all history, with the aim of being first before Americans, but without any feminization policy thereafter. In 1995, Eileen Collins piloted Discovery and became the first shuttle commander in 1999. A female mission could not be held due to a lack of spacesuits for the women until 2019, with the mission's successful launch on a female crew led by Jessica Meir and Christina Koch in the middle. In France, the Air Officer Corps was open to women in 1996, with a restrictive quotas, only 3 women for 63 male pilots. The French Association of Women Pilots intervened against this sexist discrimination, which could be lifted in 1998. Now we have hope. Indian women pilots have the best world rate in civil aviation of 15%. In 2022, European Space Agency has selected 8 women out of 20 for the next space missions. And in 2024, in the space, 79 women from different countries have gone into space, including 60 Americans, 17 waitlists who have trained. The future missions on the Moon and Mars are planned to be mixed. Thank you. Do you have questions?
Thank you, Captain Christine. Firstly, thank you for taking out your time. And I think you didn't introduce yourself. You're such a great pilot yourself, flying the Airbus A380. And we are very proud of you and all your career journey. And thank you for giving this history perspective. And it's interesting to note that the French Women Pilots Association began in 1971, you said, right?
Yes.
Yes, and the Indian Women Pilots Association, IWPA, started in 1967, ironically, 4 years apart.
Very good. Very good.
Yes, yes, and
yes, I missed this information.
Yeah, but what is interesting to notice that in the French industry, I didn't know that they had actually forbidden the women to fly. Like in India, we had to struggle in the same way, but it was a different kind of a struggle. Like they couldn't be as open as saying you're not allowed, but they would be, oh, we have not yet come up with the rules yet. We are still thinking about it. You know, there was a little difference in the way, and we never got paid differently. I thought I'd like to share that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, we were always paid the same to the best of my knowledge, unless somebody feels that it's something different. Is it now in France paid the same?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes. Mm. Yes, it is paid the same, but you see in the for the cosmonauts in the big I don't know how it is now, but it in the beginning they were not paid the same. And I didn't introduce myself. I was lucky to enter the French airline pilot national school, l'ENAC, in Toulouse in 1985. Uh, and which is a national school where we don't pay anything. And after I flew for business jets in Paris, Le Bourget, on Learjet, beach aircraft, Corvette, during 3 years. And after I became airline pilot for Air France in 1985, and flew 35 years for Air France with 22 years of long haul. So I was very lucky to see all these different aircrafts, the change from the Boeing 727 to the Airbus 380, as you said. And now I am a happy retired pilot, flying instructor at my air club, and I have a small airplane, which name is Puja. Puja.
Okay. It's so interesting and very impressive. Your own biodata is very impressive. Anybody else would like to ask a question to Captain Christine, a very, very experienced lady pilot herself?
Yeah, Christine, can I please ask you something?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so it's regarding the policy. So how do you think, like, what kind of women policies are there at France for women pilots and for women in aviation?
Now I worked a lot for the pregnancy and to have a birth leave, etc. So we have the choice when we are pregnant, we can fly the second trimester first if you are in good shape. They try not to put you on the polar flights for the radiations, and you can choose to work on ground with ground engineers, which I did and was very nice. They were happy to work with a pilot, and I learned a lot of things um, for airline operations, etc. Limitation, documentation, and many things, flight safety. And after we have a birth leave of 4 months, we are paid the same as when you have vacation. And after, both parents, father and mother, can work part-time, even 50% part-time, have 10 days off each month, more than the normal days, rest days. And also, you can. I worked 83%. I had 2 months off every year. My husband, he took a part-time job to take care of the children when I was not here. So this is nice.
All right. Thank you so much. That's really nice.
And also, Air France is very implicate. They want to have more women, but we are 9.5%. We have women in Air France, but we see that we have a lot to do in education. We are helping young women with psychologists, sophrologists, and flying instructors in airlines to prepare the selections to become pilots. And we help and with resource managers only with women. We see that often the women are not at ease to speak in public. They are not enough self-confident, many things like this. And this comes from education. And so it's nice to speak with the young woman because we try to find what to do to improve everything. But I am a little afraid that in France, less young women study science. Now with internet or the social network, they have a lot of advertisement to become sexy model, and, and it's sometimes it's a shame. But in India, women learn a lot of science. I found out that I visited some startup in Bangalore, and they had 38% of women ground engineer, and they wanted to have 50% because they said in the classes, women are more than half in of the science classes are with women. They are good in science.
Thank you for that. I think, yes, you're right. There are a lot of women in India today in STEM, in science, in, various kind of work scenarios. In fact, to be honest, initially we always we tend to think India is a developing country. It's developing in some ways, but in some ways I've always felt we are more advanced. We've always had equality in terms of the constitution. We've had no discrimination as per law, at least. People may not want to implement everything, have their own biases. That's something different. But the law always supported equality, after we became free. So our
Very good.
constitution is written beautifully. So I think that way we are proud to be, having a law which cannot discriminate against women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good part. And we also wanted to thank you for your activities as a IWPA France chapter head. And we want to engage with more and more activities. And like WICCI is also doing so many things, and all these women organizations, we can plan some bigger events together in the future,
Sure, sure.
So, so we look
We need
forward to your continuous support.
to be together.
Yes.
Yes, we will be stronger together.
Yes, absolutely. And now that we are into aerospace also, it's nice to have the space ladies along with us. So
Mm.
it's a good thing.
I, I think also in India you have it's easy for you to find nannies to take care of children or to help
That's
at
true.
home.
That's true. That is quite supportive of one of the reasons why we also have a higher percentage.
Mm, mm.
Anyway, I'll also be talking about that in my conversation on the 7th, but it is one of the contributory factors.
But we women have still to fight now to take their place.
Yes.
Women pilots are happy, I think.
Yes, yes.
Usually, even in on small aircraft.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So you are mostly welcome in France to visit us.
We will. Next event, we should have it in France.
Yes.
Yes. But thank you so much, Captain Christine. Anybody else has a question before the time runs out?
1 minute.
Hi, Christine.
Hi,
Hi,
Captain.
Christine. This is Captain Neha.
I don't
Hello.
see you. Hello. How do you?
Okay. Hold on. Uh, hold on. Am I visible?
Yes, yes. But you have only 1 minute left. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, Christine, I just want to understand, how that young Christine who was new to the cockpit handled that gender-based biases in the cockpit. I mean, what was your, go-to things that you always used to do? Because I have faced it lot many times. Okay, I'm masters in aerospace. I'm CPL plus B.